All right, Jeanna, what do you say? We take it to the max. Jeanna Lanktree, thank you so much for being here. We just did a really quick Max Combos where you gave some really fantastic information. So if people haven't watched or listened to that, I highly recommend that they go back and listen to it. But we wanted to take a moment to just expound upon some of the things that you're seeing. But let me properly introduce you first. So you are a mortgage and ops and strategy expert in this space. You are also an instructor for Max Class. We are so happy to have you as an instructor. You are fun fact, you are my most requested instructor. Like people love your classes. And it's because you really are that expert in this space. So thank you so much for being here. And not only that, you're also just the loveliest of humans. So thank
Aw,
you.
thank
Thank you for
you.
being
Thank
here.
you. Well, I could go on and on and on about you and how much I adore you and all the stuff that you're building and doing and how much value you add to so many people's lives. So I appreciate you for saying those kind words. And I love being a CE instructor. We have so much fun in those classes, and it's really important. And I set an intention for every single class that we take all of this knowledge and all these pieces that are out there for compliance and for best business practices, but make them applicable to their day to day. That's how do we apply this in our day to day to leverage this to grow our businesses and do whatever it is that each person is seeking. So it's been a lot of fun to have that opportunity, and I thank you for it.
I think that's an area that you so beautifully represent and can speak to in these classes. And I think that you bring so much wealth and expertise to the table that people really do walk away having learned so much from your courses. So we really are just so appreciative of it. And that's why I like to have you back here so often, because you really do give fantastic advice and you have this not just, I wanted to say peripheral vision of the mortgage industry, but it's like peripheral, it's like bird's eye, it's like dead on. Like you see everything, you really do. And so I wanted to talk to you today about what are some of the biggest shifts in the mortgage market right now that you're seeing. I know you've been helping to build up teams, and so you're probably seeing quite a bit with them. But then also just in traveling the country for us, what do you think right now are things that LO should be paying attention to?
I think we've been seeing them come for a while. I don't think it's something really new. I think it's been a progression over a period of the past couple of years, but it's definitely at the forefront right now. And that's knowing and having access to a big product mix. You have to have access to a broad product mix and understand what's out there. There are so many loan officers that come in, so many ops teammates that come in. And one of the biggest gaps I see is product, an understanding of what's out there. And I think we have some of the best opportunities right now with what's out there for LOs to use. I mean, we have everything from I mean, think about it. Several years ago, DSCR, some of these non-QM products and how they're actually negotiating these and changing the guidelines and overlays and grace. I mean, so many exceptions on these products that people don't realize they can even ask for an exception. So really understanding product, getting ahead of it, knowing what options you have, and then leveraging those.
I think you nailed it. And this is something that I've been harping on for what feels like a year now. It feels like DSCR saved our industry for about 2 years, right? Like we really needed some of these different and various loan products to help people through. And I think that initially there was some kind of reluctance, but we're seeing massive traction happening right now in the DSCR space, in investor loans, in like fix and flips, renos, things that people maybe just traditionally were not looking at because they were so outside of what their maybe initial wheelhouse and scope was.
Well,
So it's
the
been,
EAMS as well, right? Like we have EAMS and these energy efficient mortgages. We have, there's so many
yeah.
things out there. One of my favorite portions is the last part of CE where we're talking about the renovation options. it is so fun to watch people's eyes light up and go, wait a minute, we can do financing on a property that's not complete, that's in the construction phase on this program. So just really exploring and seeing what's out there. And, even non-QM, right? Non-QM is where we see so much coming in non-QM. It's all day long, every day. That's what we're specializing in right now. And the fascinating part about this is what they don't understand is in the non-QM space, you do have a lot of leverage for exceptions. You have a lot of leverage to ask, hey, if they'll view this or if they'll view that, and they will negotiate those. Sometimes, they'll say, hey, we're willing to make an exception on this piece over here, but it may result in an additional year of prepayment penalty. So you can leverage things, and then you can also renegotiate that. So there are a lot of options out there. Taking no for an answer is just not an option right now in this market. Not in any market, but I think especially and particularly right now, it's like if there's a no and that door closes, go look at another door. There are so many that you can find a home for these clients and, get a product that works for them. Granted,
No,
you may pay for it
absolutely.
in rate, and granted, you may pay for it in, some terms that are not favorable. But if the difference is getting them in their home versus not, and they fully understand them and you disclose them as accurately and, plainly as you can to where they really
Mhm.
understand what you're doing, you can win. And clients are so appreciative of that.
No, absolutely, and I don't typically plug a lot of Max class on this, just I like to keep it about my guests, but, I mean, kind of in doing so, he was a guest in the CE. Shout out to Dave Gray, who we have a full section in that last chapter that you just referenced, where Dave is actually being interviewed. Dave is the VP of Business Development with Anchor Loans, and his breakdown and the opportunities of what is happening right now, where some of those reno type products come into play, have been, like you said, hugely eye opening for people in these classes. And those videos that he did are my most requested videos that people take away from the class, where every single class and almost every online person asks again where they can find our video resources, because there is so much opportunity there that I don't think a lot of people were considering before. And so I'm so grateful that we were able to include that in our CE this year, because it's been really cool to watch the way that it shift LO's perspectives.
Well, it is. I mean, not only it's shifting perspective, but it's relevant. I think that's what's really important is staying relevant and sharing information that matters. I see so many people sharing content, and I'm not opposed to content. I'm all about it. But I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Or what's the relevance? And so it's really, I think to your point of bringing up Dave's, it's because it's so relevant and people are looking at it and going, all right, we are in a time right now where we're having to decide what are we going to do with our parents that are aging. And yes, they
Mm.
have a lot of liquidity in their homes, right? They have all of that appreciation. However, the cost to get into another home is not equivalent to what it was prior, and they're not going to be benefiting their bottom dollar. So what do we do now? And they're looking at, the mother-in-laws or, these, getting their children into homes, right? So they're looking at some of these, you know, what are they called right now?
ADUs.
The ADUs, I just drew a
Mhm.
blank. I thank you for that. But, looking at a lot of those ADUs and looking at options for financing those. And some people, they're pulling out of pocket or they're pulling out of retirement funds and taking penalties when there are actual programs out there that can help them accomplish that. And Dave walks them through some of the options for construction on those. And we're not just seeing that in the lending side, but this is something where lending, it's a space that I haven't seen prior, and it's where lending and communities are really starting to come together. The communities are going, hey, we have a need. So in my particular area of the country, they have created an entire, I'll call it a task force, that's not the official name for it, but there's an entire department that they are solely there to help people with the construction and linking them with the government, the surveys and the different permits and getting them aligned with a contractor.
Mm.
And then they're looking to link them with lenders as well that can finance these projects for them. So it's now seems a lot more full circle. And they're going, hey, we've got some really big housing complexities in this country as a whole. How can we start solving these? And so getting people into home ownership and making it as affordable as possible and broadening the options is massive. We're seeing a lot of the buildings where, people are living upstairs and they have a business zoning downstairs. And so now their business and their home are in the same place. And so you're seeing some of those in co-ops or, you know, some complexity in how things are zoned. And you need to know how to get around those because there's a product for all of that out there. There really
No,
is.
for sure. And you touched on two different questions that I actually have for you. So, with affordability still just being a massive issue in our nation, obviously, that's not going to go anywhere. That's not a quick fix. That's not an overnight solve. We have so much that we need to do. Shout out to my buddy, Kobe Hackalier. He actually covers this a lot on his LinkedIn of what and how we got ourselves into this mess, but what we should be doing to help kind of dig ourselves out of it. And there just isn't enough being done. And so I do think that it's going to take some really creative options in order to start to solve that affordability issue. But what do you think LOs can do right now to kind of help their borrowers understand what options may be out there for them?
This is going to sound a little counterintuitive and it might sound even remedial because I know that there's, a much better answer to this. Whenever I've gotten into trouble or I've missed the boat on something, it's because I didn't pause and ask enough questions. What's
Mm,
their real goal? So sometimes just pausing, getting really intentional with the client and saying, how can I best help you? What is it that you want to accomplish? And getting to the root of the problem. Sometimes they won't know what their challenge is. They'll go, I just don't think I'm ever going to afford a home. Or they'll say, I might have to sell. This is a big one. What do I do? Do I refinance or do I sell? I don't know that I'm going to be able to afford this much longer. Really walk through what is it? What are they seeking? All of a sudden, what you'll learn is that particular client has a very different story than the client you spoke to the day before. And that client is like, I want to spend, I'm just going to tease you because you're in Hawaii, but they're like, I want to spend 6 months in Hawaii and I wanted this and I wanted that. So maybe what you're looking at is a construction loan or a rehab loan or some type of loan that actually changes the structure of their existing home to where maybe they're living on one side and they've remodeled and they have, a sublet on the other side or something like that. Potentially, if they have some property, maybe they have a couple cabins on that property, right? Where are they going to get financing for that? You've got to get really creative and find options for them because they are out there to, that like we've said, but asking those questions and finding out what is it that they really want to do and what is it that they're seeking to solve, and that's where you come in. And then from there, you do have to be diligent. You've got to do your research and collaborate. I think we're in one of the best industries for collaboration. Everybody is sharing something online. Everybody is at networking events sharing what's happening. That's the part that I love about this business. There's a lot of things, but that's one of the ones that I love the most is how much collaboration and how much people are sharing different things out there. And there are so many opportunities for people to, dig in, partner up with somebody and go, hey, you're winning at this over here. How are you winning at that? What can I learn
yeah.
from you? Like look to someone that's doing something bigger and better than what you are and find out how you can learn from them and pick their brain. People are so willing to share and help each other out.
No, they really are. And I'm telling you, you're like intuitiveness is on overdrive today because I feel like you're touching on things that I'm like about to ask you about.
Oh,
And one of those things is what do you think you mentioned being that resource for your borrowers, having those different conversations with them, getting them to open up to you. You can only do that if they trust you. You can
that's true.
only do that if you've built a foundation and a relationship with them to where you can actually get to the root and the source of what it is that they're actually looking for. What advice do you have for LOs who maybe are struggling with that, who maybe they haven't cultivated those types of relationships with their borrowers? What would your advice be to them?
Oh, this is a passionate area that you just touched on. I didn't know this question was coming. So I go into teams all the time and I watch everything they're doing. I build systems for them and give them feedback. And one of the things I saw was I was at a team and they do this initial call. They have warm leads, right? They have a big agent group and all these agents send in their clients and introduce them. And they have these younger kids that, initially take their applications, and then the loan officers get on the phone and, they kind of, it's a system, right? It's a
Mhm.
system. So what I saw was on the very first call, they were taking the client's information so that they could set up the communication with the LO. And before the call ended, it was like, "Hey, if you have any friends," and it was asking for the referral, right? Right in that initial call, and I just cringed. I
Yeah,
cringed, and I know loan officers are gonna send me hate mail for this one, right? Like, "Send me your
I'm
thing,
with
throw all your
you.
business cards out there." And I went out on the floor, and I walked over and I said, "I noticed that you asked for a referral at the end of that call." And I said, "Well, yes, of course, like, it's in the script." I said, "Well, what makes you think you've earned the right to ask for a referral? Like, what have you done for them? Well, why would they
Yeah,
trust you with a referral? You haven't even helped them yet. You just had a
right.
phone call. You haven't earned the right to ask for a referral yet." And that was such a cringe, and I know LOs are like, "We all ask for referrals. That's how we get business." Like, that's right? I mean, it's so counterintuitive, but it's in the conversation, right? So
Mhm.
I'm on the ops side, I'm in systems process. And so a lot of people go, "What does she know about operations?" Of course, or "What does she know about sales?" She's going to say that. And, that's easy to say from her seat. What they don't know is I actually have quite a book of business that goes in other people's names,
Yeah,
because in operations, it's really hard to put those in your names. And that's a whole nother topic.
and
So
you have originated, like,
yeah, yeah,
you
I
know
still
what you're
originate.
talking
Yeah,
about.
I still originate, and, so with that, and when a loan goes south, I'm the person that picks up the phone. I am the one that's on
Mhm,
that phone, so I get to have all of those calls and bridge those, some broken relationships there. But I'm big on reciprocity. I think you have to give 3 things before you take anything, and I coach my teams, including the ops teams. You don't ask a client for a single piece of documentation until, first off, how are they doing? You've interacted with them and made them a friend. Secondly, you're in alliance with them. They now
mm,
know, like, you have to bridge something that they know you're there to help them get into a home or to help them with their finances, keep their home, or get more money in their pockets, whatever their goal is. You're there to help them. So like, first we develop friendship. Secondly, trust comes from that. Then they become, they are in alliance with them. Like, I am your person. I'm the one that's going to help you get across the finish line. I'm here to rally for you. One of the things we don't want to do, and I see this a lot, it's really weak, is loan officers don't want to have a hard conversation.
mhm,
They don't wanna have it. I
right.
jump into those, and I can't tell you how much credibility I earn by having that. So, something as simple as telling the client, "Listen, this is gonna be a complex loan. Everybody else in the industry, it's taking about 45 days to get this done, if they even can do it. We're gonna do it in about 15, and it's gonna be a little bit bumpy. These 2 hurdles here, they're gonna be difficult, but I'm not too concerned. They're gonna require more documentation, but we'll get over those 2 hurdles. This one here is gonna be a beast. I need an exception. I need this. I need that." I walk them through what that looks like, and I go, "How gritty are you? How gritty are you? Because I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and fight for you to get you into this home. It won't be easy, but I need your cooperation. And there's going to be some days when you may call and it's going to be tough because I'm asking for one more piece of documentation. Are you okay with that? Are you all in?" And they're like, "I'm in, I'm in." I'm like, "You better remember that, because when I call you and you're upset that I'm asking for one more piece," right? And it goes far with people. It really goes far with them. Or, looking at, I think some of the systems we have right now are so much better than systems we had 20 years ago. I mean, that's
For
hands
sure.
down, it's a given. But little things like, you can pull up the property estimator. We never had that way back in the day. So property estimator, you can look and you know that if that contract is written for a pretty high price point and that cost estimator is looking like you might have an appraisal issue, I get ahead of that right away, and I go, "This must be a beautiful home." And, I hit it right up front, and I go, Must be a beautiful home. I'm noticing homes in the area, they're a little bit lower, so we're gonna anticipate that appraisal coming in where it should, because I'm sure this one is a standout, but just in case, I wanna prepare you and get ahead of anything that could potentially there, so I'm gonna reach out to your agent and make sure they're on top of this." So things like that, where you're really working with the agent, you're collaborating. Always, always highlight the agent. Always show that you're in good spirits with the agent and that you guys are a team. Like, give your agents as much credit as possible. And also do that for the clients. If we're waiting for items, this is a big one. Like, LOs, you can earn a lot of credibility and more referrals by just setting something up as kindly as, title may reach out and go, hey, where are we at? We're getting close, right? Our doc's coming, whatever the case may be. And saying, we are working with the clients on their last pieces. They've been working diligently to get us these last 2 items. As soon as they're in, we're going to hustle across the finish line. I anticipate, closing to be expected at X amount, put the date there, whatever that is. But always highlight the person you're speaking to. I see so many
Mm.
times in this business where we lose credibility, we lose trust, or we lose relationship and referrals because we want to be right. We want to be viewed as this expert. We want to be viewed as this person that's so important and matters. And, last week I literally had a gentleman that sent an email he was an insurance carrier. And he said, do you know how lucky you are to even be talking to somebody of my caliber? Like,
What?
that's literally what he put in the email. And instant lost credibility with me, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was cracking up, going, what the heck is this guy? So, as important as our roles are, what we do for clients matters every single day. But show up as an ally, show up humble, show up as a friend, ask more questions than talking. Really listen to what they're saying and listen for the clues. This is something I teach my ops teams all the time. What they're saying is not, what you're hearing is not what they're saying.
Mhm.
Listen to the clues in between what their words are, and
Yeah,
then pick that, pick up those pieces. They might be a little uncertain. They might be scared. They might be afraid, like, can I even afford a home right now? Like, how am I going to make this mortgage payment? My rent was X, for those first time home buyers. They're scared and nervous about so much. For people that are investors, right? They're looking at exchanges, 1031 exchanges and other things like that, that you have to keep, in the forefront and know what's going on. Maybe they have a deadline and they're grouchy, or they seem demanding, but it could be because they're on a tight turn time.
Mhm.
In this particular case, we had a client that was really, he could have been perceived as unkind. I don't think he was unkind. I had to explain to the team, like, you've got to understand, we're asking for documentation from an inheritance that, there's emotion there. We're getting into
Yeah.
paperwork and this person's just lost a parent. So really understanding the client and asking questions and getting to know them. What are you going through? What's going on? Why did you pick this home? What was it about the neighborhood? You're going to learn about the client. So see them as a person first, not just as a sale and a commission check and, numbers.
What a beautiful strategy for going about it, and I think you really nailed with the term alliance. Forming this alliance both with the borrower, with the agent, if there's an agent involved, really creating that circle of trust is going to be massive, and it's going to lead to you earning that referral down the road and really setting yourself apart so that they do want to refer you going forward. What do you think are what do you think LO should be looking at and anticipating for the landscape kind of going forward?
I think going forward, there is, I think it's all the things we've just touched on. And to be honest, LaDonna, this is one of the things that I'm going to say that's really, people might go, wow, that's really hippy dippy. Being human again, being human. I was
Mm.
talking to a friend last night and I said, we don't know what to believe anymore, right? We have so much coming at us. I don't know if it's a real person. I don't know if it's an AI generated person. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
fact. I don't know if that's something that's manufactured. I don't know um, what's real right now in the world we're living in, and that's a beautiful thing. And it's also something that can cause some caution. But I think more so than ever, what I'm hearing from clients, what I'm hearing from loan officers, what I'm seeing when I'm walking into rooms and talking to some of the best originators in the country is, how do we leverage where we're at? What do we do? What is it? And it is all coming back to being human again. Human
agreed.
touch, right? Not being afraid to, give somebody a hug when they, congratulations, give them a hug or a hand, obviously pay attention to your person, right? Like read the
Yeah,
signs.
right.
Like don't, don't over to be over friendly. I'm not saying that, but going back to just humanity and being a friend and an
Yeah,
ally and talking to people, understanding where they're coming from, showing up
totally.
in person is mattering right now. People want to connect. And so I think more so than ever in a world where we have so much change, so much growth, so much information, basic humanity, a kind hand on the shoulder, "You're doing a great job," or "I'm really excited for you to get into this home," or "Man, this is really scary." Acknowledging where we're at and just staying authentic. Stay really authentic. Nobody I am hearing more so than ever that people are getting turned off by that old-fashioned salesy approach. Like, it's not happening. They really do want the neighbor next door that's gonna come alongside them and help them and say things in layman's terms, things that they understand. Take things that are complex, and instead of trying to sound smart or making yourself feel important, make them feel heard. And I
I
do believe that that is the direction that everything is going. I mean, it's gonna have to be more human touch because we're losing sight of it.
I totally agree. Could not agree more. I think authenticity is going to rule. It is going to prevail. I think very similarly to what we saw post COVID, where we kind of withdrew from each other, right? And when given the opportunity to come back from that, so many of us were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm craving that human connection now more than ever." And I think we're experiencing that again. And I know you've seen my approach in classes, and thankfully we both kind of share this very warm, inviting persona when you're in class with us. But part of what I do is I let people know I'm a tactile person. If you're going to feel my hand on your shoulder, you're going to feel me give you a little side hug. You're going, right? Like that is part of who I am. And in creating that type of environment and allowing and opening up that type of access, people are so warmed by it. And I have people, men, women, doesn't matter what part of the country, doesn't matter what age, doesn't matter any of the demographics, who will come up to me and say, like, "Can I just give you a hug?"
Mhm.
And every time I'm like, "Of course." And I will hug as long as they want to hug, because there is this lack of connection, this
Yeah.
lack of authenticity, this loneliness epidemic that people are
Or so
really
serious,
struggling
right?
with.
Everybody's trying to be so serious because they wanna be important, or they
Yes.
wanna they want people to take them so serious, and I think that's one of the things I love the most is we are very tactile, we are very friendly. People come up after classes and they're hugging and they're just clapping and but I think it's the amount of laughter in class too, right? We're joking, we're
Agreed.
teasing, like, we're having a lot of fun and we're very honest about that, and so,
Mhm.
and I also think there's times when we collaborate a lot, and I think this is going to be a time where collaboration is going to be key. If you have somebody that's an expert in one area and you're an expert in another, like the gentleman that I work with on a daily basis, we are all very different. We all have different skill sets, and we're a group of 4 leaders in our particular group. But what's phenomenal is we know where each of us are strong, and so we play to
Mhm.
that. And where we're not strong, we don't dabble too much in that space. We leave that up to the other one that's really strong there. So that's what's really brilliant about the businesses that we're in right now and how we have access to each other is, we can pick each other's brains and leverage where one person is strong and, where we're strong, let other people leverage that and, show up and be there, be kind. A gentleman I was going and I picked up a coffee the other day. I didn't do anything extraordinary. I promise you. It was just a normal interaction. He looked at me and said, "You're the first person that's kind today. Thank you so much.
Uh,
It means so much." And
I'm gonna
so
have you
proud
say it
of
one
that.
more time, just because your audio kinda came in and out just for a moment there, but I'm going to have you do it one more time. No, looks like we've got a little bit of an audio freeze on Gina's side of things, which just breaks my heart because what she was saying was so good. So, so good, so relevant. Gina does also live in the mountains, so I'm going to point that out right now while I'm waiting for her to hopefully rejoin. But I think this touch point is spot on with what she was saying and the importance of being kind right now goes so far. It is one of those critical elements that really is just going to make a difference in so many people's lives. And it is a way for you to build that authentic level of trust that so many people are needing and missing, and nothing will set you apart in your borrower's brains faster than being kind, being helpful, being authentic, wanting to actually help them with their problems, and allowing space to really hear what they're saying. So I know that that is exactly where Jeanna was going with exactly what she was saying. Jeanna, now that you are back, no big deal. I just put words in your mouth for that
Perfect.
entire time of how important it is to just be kind and how you do establish yourself as the expert and set yourself apart by just building that trust through kindness. So go ahead, give me that story one more time. You went to pick up a coffee,
No, I went to pick up a
gentleman.
coffee, and I didn't think I'd done anything abnormal. It was just normal interaction, nothing special. I didn't go above and beyond anything like that. It was just genuine interaction. And the gentleman looked over and gave me a coffee and said, "The first person that's kind. Thank you so much."
Oh no, my girl, I'm gonna stop you. Your poor internet and audio is just
Dang it!
it's
Yes,
gone.
far.
I know, dang it, it's gone again, but that's okay. That's okay. I think I can wrap us up. So it I think you're so right, and I appreciate, as always, you being the person that you are and providing the insights that you do and giving the advice so freely that you give because you are so brilliant. You are so brilliant, and I know I champion that cause for you all the time, and I'll never quit doing it because I really do believe that you are just one of the most brilliant minds in this industry. We are so lucky to have you, and if people aren't connected with you, they should be. You can find Jeanna on LinkedIn, you can find her on Facebook, you can find her on Instagram. I know you're not the most socially active person, so if someone really wants to get in touch with you, they can also go through me. But we are beyond blessed to have you as an instructor, as a representative of Max Class. You are your own powerhouse of a woman. And again, we just appreciate you so much. Next time, we're going to get you some additional audio help with that Wi Fi because welcome to living in the mountains. Girl, trust me, I get it. But thank you for being here. Thank you for taking it to the max with me. And again, until next time, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you'll share it. I hope you'll like it. I hope you'll review it. And let us know what you love about it. Let us know who you'd like to have featured on it. I am always looking for new guests and love chatting with different experts in this field. So if you think that you're someone that would make for a good guest, reach out to me. I would love to have a conversation with you. So again, until next time, I'm LaDonna Lockard, and thanks for taking it to the max.